Jess, we're ready when you are.
Fantastic. Hi, guys and gals. My name is Jess Brummer. I am the J Brummer. You are more than welcome to check me out at Twitter with that specific particular phrase there, the J Brummer. Um, I have been doing production stuff for near on 2 years now, and been doing a whole lot more since. My specific conversation that we're going to be going through is a little thing called Men in Many Hats, a discussion of how everything kind of always comes together eventually. Um, the long and short of things are, folks, is that winding roads happen. You try and plan and go according to plan however you can, but things don't always go the right way. It's just all about perseverance. So I hear a whole bunch of people jumping in. I'm glad to have you. One more time, my name is Jess Brummer. I've been doing production for a long time. And while the first half of this hour-long thing is pretty much a lecture, it's less of me talking about uh, less of me lecturing and more of me explaining who the heck am I. So that way, when we get to the questions and answer section, you guys can ask the questions you want to ask, and I can answer things from my perspective, and you'll understand where it is that I'm coming from when I am answering your questions. Um, that said, I want you guys to take a moment, look to your left, look to your right. If we were in an actual convention, you'd be looking at people. Since we're not, you're looking around probably at your living room, probably in your office, wherever it is that you have your computer, in an internet cafe, whatever it is. And if you're like me, you're not wearing a business suit and a tie right now because we're having remote convention. It's pretty neat. This is my first time doing this kind of remote convention thing. So, and there we go. Some people are not even wearing pants. Thank you very much. Um, and this is supposed to be comfortable. This is supposed to be relaxed. So if you do have questions while I'm blathering on, because I knew I could do an hour real easy, just my voice, I love the sound of it. By all means, try and type something in the Power Up Main Stage chat. If I catch it and it doesn't derail me too much, I will go ahead and answer questions. That said, we're going to go ahead and get started with who the heck is the man of many hats? And that's me. I am the man in many hats that is both figurative and literal. I'm going to try and figure out how to upload pictures here because as I'm talking, I will occasionally drop in a picture of me. Um, First, let's go ahead and start out with my standard picture. This is the collection. This is the hat that started it all. Um, this is the man of many hats himself. I am the Moose Man wearing that. It started off looking just as something that blended in with my beard, and the collection just took off from there. So that is the beginning of it all. But what the heck does that have to do with production? Well, producers wear a lot of different hats. We have to be the people who are the bridges between the artists, between the programmers, between the audio people. We've got to know as much as we can. We've got to be communicators, we've got to be facilitators. We are jack of all trades, masters of none. Some of us are pretty kick ass at specific things. I've got a couple people I know who are really good programmers on top of being producers. And I've got people I know who their art blows me away, and they do production on top of that. Myself, I am just production fellow. Um, I have all sorts of different skills, but primarily I'm the guy who just is always looking into things and doing what I can. Um, let's see if this one picture actually works. You may have to download that, so that's not going to work. Yeah, okay, ignore that one. But I am the guy who I've just gone through so many different things. I've been trying so hard to break into this industry. Uh, so a lot of my winding path is where this story is going to go. So sit back, relax. Let me take you through a quick little journey. Um, and we're going to start out with how long have I been playing video games? Um, I have been playing video games since my parents showed me their Atari. So I've been doing Pitfall and all sorts of weird little things until I saved my own money at the young age of 7 to buy myself an NES, and I was gone from there. It's been a wonderful downhill slope of me just sitting on the ride that is video game entertainment. And when I finally bought myself my own Game Boy Pocket and Pokemon Red, Team Valor, by the way, for those of you listening, um, and I have just been enjoying myself. Oh, I'm sorry. I have to stop talking. There are too many people in chat right now who are not part of Team Valor. But no, I will continue. So ever since I started playing Pokemon, I knew I wanted to get in the video game industry. At the younger age that I was, I didn't know if I was going to be getting into the video game industry as a writer or as a uh, person who would be critiques, so as a journalist. I didn't know what I wanted to do. It took me a little while to figure out that what I really wanted, or what I thought I wanted, was that I was going to be a artist, an animator, a modeler. I was going to be the guy who was just going to enjoy uh, making different things move to my very whim. And I was lucky. I ended up getting myself into a nice little college called Purdue University up in Indiana. It had one of the only at the time computer graphics technology uh, courses that was separate from its computer programming. So I got to be able to do computer graphics stuff and didn't really have to focus too much on programming, which was pretty fantastic for me. Um, excuse me, folks, I'm having a problem with my headset. It'll only take me just a second to fix. Okay, there we go. So I was going through Purdue, and Purdue was pretty cool. I got to go and learn all sorts of different things. Um, I had after my 4 years at Purdue a very solid foundation for all sorts of different things, um, and it let me understand programming to the degree that while I may not be able to program myself out of a box, I could possibly program the box that I get stuck in. And it helped me to be able to understand audio developers and help me to be able to understand the different disciplines that are going on. But the problem that I had was I went to Purdue for computer graphics and animation. Um, and I was all right at computer graphics and animation, But I got out of college the ripe age of around 24 for my undergrad, and I looked around and I said, "Look, I've got my diploma. Where's my job?" Um, and I wasn't a very smart individual. I didn't fully understand that, oh, hey, besides just doing schoolwork, I kind of had to make a portfolio and actively spend time outside of classes working on personal projects and put myself out there and get to know people and make connections. And it seems obvious to me now, but some of those things weren't very obvious, and I had some growing up to do. Um, I had to go through and figure out all sorts of different things, even after Purdue. Um, so I got out of Purdue, and I was a little worried that I'd be flipping burgers for a little bit. Uh, but thankfully, oh gosh darn it, that one didn't work either. Wish I could screen share stuff. Anyways, uh, I was luckily able to get a small job uh, at a GameStop nearby where I normally lived. And it wasn't exactly the best thing that I could have done. It wasn't the dream job I wanted coming out of college, but you know what? It helped pay the bills and it kept my hand in. Um, so I was able to uh, just stay as part of the industry and keep working part time and really start developing stuff. And I got to have a small portfolio that I was at least somewhat happy with. And lucky for me, um, when I finished with that, I was all set and ready, and I started sending out resumes, and I managed to get myself a fantastic job working at Blizzard Entertainment. Maybe some of you have heard it. Um, so Blizzard was a heck of a lot of fun. Um, is one of those companies that if you can get in, you really don't want to leave because they are a blast to work for. They're 5 year, um, no other Jesse, not Blizzard like the ice cream, not DQ, Blizzard Entertainment. They made a little movie earlier this year called World of Warcraft. Maybe you guys have heard of it. Um, was off of a popular game, but working for Blizzard was not me working there as an artist. I was working there as customer support. And while customer support uh, was a nice little job, it wasn't exactly where I wanted to do with my life. So I had to figure out where I was going with it because after a few years of just being classy and working for Blizzard, um, I realized, you know what? I love this company. They are a fantastic, classy company. They have a fantastic group of people that I love working with. Um, and they have a lot of people that I love just interacting with, even on the customer side. But customer support and just talking with people, if you've never done that kind of job, um, it's not as easy as it sounds. It's always going to be a little bit hard, and eventually it does grind down on you, or at least it did in my case. So I had to figure out where it was that I'm going to go. And thankfully, after 5 years of working at Blizzard, I earned myself the Blizzard Sword. They give people who have worked at Blizzard swords. Yes, it is a thing. It comes on a plaque. It's pretty freaking sweet. It is deadly. Blizzard is the only company that I know of that has a zombie invasion plan, and one of the steps of that plan is find 5-year sword participant, stay near 5-year sword participant. They will protect you. So pretty awesome. 10 years is a shield. I don't have one of those, but it's small things like that that just make Blizzard a heck of a lot of fun to work for, and I'd love to make my way back to them. Um, but I've been to Purdue for art. I submitted a bunch of stuff to Blizzard to try and get on their art team. That didn't really work out. I didn't really have the experience they said, and I didn't really have the knowledge that they were looking for. So when I went around trying to figure out what it was that I wanted to do, I had to look at all the things that made up who I was. I had to look at how things were kind of merging together for me. And long and short of it was I was really good with my solid foundation from Purdue at understanding cross disciplines. I was really creative because, well, that's just the kind of person I am, being an extroverted introvert who can talk with all sorts of different people, but prefers to be alone where possible. And I had just had 5 years of the best communication training anyone can get by working customer support and talking to people about the fact that their digital swords and armor are things that, yes, I might have a magical button that I could press to give you more things, but no, I can't press that button because I would lose my job. So lots of fun stuff working at Blizzard, just talking with all sorts of different people, learning the various different things that people ask for uh, is especially interesting in customer support. Um, and I have several interesting stories that I may relay later, but for now, let's just say that if you ever work customer support and you get the chance to work phones, that is some really, really good communication training, especially when you've got some policies that you've got to follow. So, with all of this in mind, and knowing that I still really wanted to work in the video game industry, I began looking around and figuring out what it is I wanted to do. And spent a little bit of time, finally found Full Sail University. And for those of you that don't know, Full Sail is in beautiful Florida, where rain is scheduled every single 3 p.m. And lasts for about an hour. I am not kidding. That is a thing that pretty much happens every single day. Um, and when I went there for a master's degree in game design. And it's called the Masters of Game Design. And that's a bit of a misnomer for that particular master's. You're going to knock out that master's in 12 months, which is some hard work, some very hard work. But it's, yes, just 12 months. You knock out a complete master's degree. Um, you're going through 12 different courses, one course a month, and it's it's a lot of work. But I learned a heck of a lot. And one of the things I learned is the master's degree name of game design is, as I said, a bit of a misnomer because it is teaching some game design, but out of 12 different courses, there was one course specifically on game design. Um, that course was the second month. Everything else was all focused on sociology and psychology and team leadership and production and usability and research and a whole lot of different things that did mesh together. And there was this one teacher that I got to know. His name was Rupert Magnot. He was all right. He had probably the hardest course out of the 12 months. And let's just say that had no social life at all during Rupert's class. He he kicked our ass, and we did not like it until we were done with the course. So if you had a chance to listen to Rupert, good for you. He's a great guy, and I'm not saying that just because he's also my boss for different things. So I would recommend Full Sail to people who want to get into the video game industry. It's a super nerdy place where you're going to run into other super nerdy people, pretty much guaranteed. It's not your typical university. Your typical university is going to be a 4-year degree for an undergrad and a 2-year master's degree, and you're going to get a summer break. Full Sail's version of a summer break is a week off, and then you have to work 3 weeks for that course. So it's got its upsides and its downsides. One of the primary upsides is you are done a heck of a lot faster with whatever it is that you're trying to do. If I am remembering right, if you want to be a programmer and you go through their undergrad programming degree, it is about 18, 21 months, somewhere in there. So about a year and a half. Um, and So I've got a question here. Would I consider that a cookie cutter assembly line style? No, I wouldn't. The reason I don't think of Full Sail as a cookie cutter assembly line style degree is while you are going through all of the same courses, it's courses that are designed by asking the current industry professionals and industry partners that work with Full Sail, and just have come from Full Sail and are now high enough in their own organizations to be able to start hiring people, that they make recommendations going, hey, look, for programmers, we really need people who know how to work with these specific languages, and we need people who can work as artists using these specific programs. And I know some of them are new and some of them aren't really all that useful right now, but we're getting a whole lot of use out of them, and they'd be impressive on a resume. So you end up with people who know things right out of the gate, that other universities might not be providing. Um, and at the same time, you are doing your own thing, because 6 months in, to my 12 months master's degree, I had to choose a final project on top of the remaining 6 months that I had for classes. So I was doing one class a month and a final project for every 6 months. And my final project was the production track. There were other tracks. People could have gone to a educational gaming company and kind of done their internship through there. People could have done a um, what they call is usability lab, and all they're doing is they're facilitating testing for AAA and AA companies that want to use the university as a nice testing ground. So you get a varied degree based on where it is that you want to go. And for the undergrad side of things, I can't really speak to that. I went to Purdue. I liked Purdue, but I would recommend Full Sail as at least a place that people should check out. Got a quick question here. Scala Tavito. Actually, if you could hold off and ask me that in just a little bit, I will try and remember. Um, so when it comes to Full Sail, love the place. Got my master's degree, got things sorted out on my end. I spent an awful lot of time making connections, spent an awful lot of time making friends. All the things I didn't do for my undergrad, I tried to do for my master's degree. Every single month I would go in and I would talk with the career development folks at Full Sail, and just even though I wasn't looking for a job yet, I would shake their hand, I'd make them acknowledge my existence and remind them, hey, I've got 7 more months left before I'm out of here. I've got 6 more months left before I'm out of here. Hey, I want to be a producer. Are there any jobs coming up or anybody that I can ask questions from? And I made some great connections with two really good career development folks. And right around the time that I was getting ready to start looking for jobs, which was 3 months out of earning my master's degree, both of them found jobs elsewhere. So that was a lot of fun for me. All the people that I've been working with for the past almost year, both of them found better opportunities. I was really happy for them as their friend, not very happy for them because I lost a lot of momentum that way. Um, I'm not blaming them for anything that happened after that, but I am saying that it didn't work out the way I was hoping for. Um, and that really kind of brings us to what my particular topic is. Things work out eventually as long as you keep working at it. And that's my real words of wisdom. That's really what I can impart to people is if you really want something, while it may not happen the way you want it to happen, as long as you keep working at it, you'll get something like it, if not something better. Right now, I am working as a producer for Burnout Game Ventures. I am working specifically as a producer and hiring manager for Burnout Studios, which is the in-house developer for BGV. I make, with the help of my team that I have personally put together, um, assets for the online asset store. Um, we've delivered at least one package, which we call our roadside assistant kit, and that can be purchased online. Um, I am certain that our lovely community manager, Jesse Collins, will be happy to help you out. If you are interested in finding out more information about where that may be purchased. Um, and we are working on our second rack, RAK, Roadside Assistance Kit. we're hoping to have that out very soon. And on top of that, um, we are putting together videos and we are working together to try and make a brand that really sells and has a lot of fun to it. Um, I also do production stuff. As of last month, I started working with a partner company called Major Games. They have already released a game. It's called Bit Evolution. It's on Steam. I also recommend you check that out. And their Major Games community manager is also pretty nice. His name's Jesse Collins. He does an all right job. I haven't had much interaction with him on Major Games, and because of those things, I'm juggling all of that. Unfortunately, as of yet, since you guys are really, I'm betting you guys are really just hearing about some of this for the first time. Uh, you can you can kind of guess we haven't exactly made it as big as we were hoping, but we're going to keep working at it. Um, and while I'm doing that, I'm working at another small company called Electronic Arts. Um, they do video games occasionally, um, little things called like Madden and FIFA. Um, I hear those are coming up. Um, Personally, I am enjoying working with them, but I'm not doing production for them. I'm doing a little thing called UAT, and UAT stands for User Acceptance Testing. Um, if you think of quality assurance, QA, as the people whom are making sure every tiny little thing works by jumping up and down 100 times, um, and making sure that things aren't really, uh, if they're the people who are making sure that things are bearable, um, then UAT uh, is the people who make sure that at the end of the day, everything checks out accordingly. I look at it like this. If you've never worked at a restaurant before, this may not make complete sense to you, but I'll try and relate it to you. When you order food, the waiter or waitress writes down your order. Hopefully, they have that order correct. They take that order back to the kitchen. The kitchen makes the food, uh, and quality assurance would kind of be the taste testers if a restaurant actually had taste testers for some weird reason. They would want to make sure that the food tasted exactly how it should, that the food was prepared at exactly 350 degrees, that your salad had the appropriate level of dressing and not too much, not too little. Whereas user acceptance testing, UAT, when the food's all done, the very last thing that happens before it gets taken to the table is is the waiter or waitress looks at the ticket, looks at the food, looks at the ticket, looks at the food. If the ticket as written matches what the food is, everything's fine. It goes out to the customer, everybody's happy. If the ticket doesn't match, well, it gets sent back to the kitchen. That's what UAT does. We look at the intended result right before it goes to the customer. And we want to make sure that the customer gets the very best experience that they possibly can have so that they're having a whole lot of fun. Um, and we don't want them to have something that wasn't originally intended. If they ordered the chicken fettuccine then we want to make sure they get the chicken fettuccine, not the shrimp fettuccine. Um, it may taste the same. It may have been cooked absolutely perfect. It may have been done with the appropriate amount of Alfredo sauce. But if it's not chicken and it's shrimp, UAT tries to catch that. Um, so that's what I'm doing now. That's how I got to where I am right now. I'm still trying to uh, be a better producer than I already am. I'm a pretty relaxed individual. I like chatting with people. I like doing the job that I do. Um, I know UAT is a good stepping stone for me, but that's what it is. It's a stepping stone. I'm still working at things. My winding path is not done yet, and I doubt it ever will be. So, with that said, I am the man of many hats. I've got all sorts of different things that I have dealt with, that I have done. I have all sorts of different experiences, and I'm opening things up to questions. I'd love to hear what it is you guys want me to blather on about next. We're going to start out with a quick little question that I got a little bit earlier from Scalatavito. Would you recommend a master's degree for programmers as a must to work in the industry? Um, what I can tell you is programmers are people who are very desired within the industry. They're the people who help make up a great portion of what things do. Um, so, knowing how to program is very important. Being able to program is even more important. And the people who have master's degrees in programming, I would say, are the people who get more opportunities, but is it required? No. Because if you're really good, if you know your stuff and you finish off your undergraduate degree for programming, you could be hired almost anywhere as long as you can show things off and show what you can do um, and you know your stuff. Heck, you don't even have to have a degree if you know your stuff as a programmer, but you do have to be able to program. And you really, really got to show things if you don't have any sort of formal education, but you can do really well as a programmer. Um, I would anticipate, and this is just a guess, that if you are a programmer who goes into a master's degree, one of the things you could do is look into being a technical programmer or a technical artist. Um, if you are a technical artist, you're the person who knows how to program and do art. And technical artists are the very rare thing, especially good technical artists. And when you can actually prove that you can do programming and art in a manner that makes you super acceptable at both of those things, you don't look for a job. People look for you. Um, they love people like that. So I hope that answers your question. Yes, you can go into a master's degree for programming, uh, but would I personally recommend it? Um, it depends on what you want to do with your degrees. So, from Merck, what do you plan to do in the future? What do you want to accomplish in 5 years? That is a fantastic question. I answer that question all the time in interviews. So, what I want to do in the future is right now I'm working user acceptance testing. If I continue on the career path I'm in at, say, EA, I would love to go from UAT to UAT lead, and from there transition into a production role. I just had a meeting earlier today with not my boss, but my boss's boss. And we were just sitting down chatting, and I got to relay pretty much the whole story I told you guys, and talk about how I wanted to be a producer. Um, I almost broke into song with the producer's Broadway show because I Want to Be a Producer is one of my favorite songs. But uh, I didn't go quite that far. I would say that I have the producer hat. Mine is white. Um, and I do have the skill behind it. Um, but eventually me transitioning into a producer is where I want to go, in a larger company. Or what would be fantastic for me is Burnout Studios kicks off really, really well. Burnout Game Ventures becomes even more kick ass. And we develop a whole lot of capital, and then I can move back to Florida, and then I can keep working on BGV and Burnout Studios full time. So it's a heck of a lot of fun working for yourself, but it requires a lot of sacrifice in that part as well, because you've got to be prepared to starve a little bit. Any indie game developer is a starving artist. That's really what it's going to boil down to. Um, that hopefully answers your question, Merc. Um, so Ski asks, can you get hired without a formal set of education? Yes, I can. Already answered that. Um, Hmm. And Sankago, what about someone who does not have a degree that is games related? Do you think a master's program like Full Sails is a good idea? If not, how would you recommend finding those connections outside of an education setting? So, not having a computer graphics technology undergrad, um, I probably would have gone into some kind of English major, and gone into some type of journalism. But even then, um, I might have still gone into the game design area, uh, and that would have just helped. And being able to write things helps a heck of a lot. Even as a producer, I find myself writing a whole lot of documents. In fact, that's a majority of what my job is supposed to be when it's not talking to people. Um, Not having any kind of degree in that line. I know people who went from being business majors into being producers, and I know people who went from business majors into being programmers. So a lot of what you're seeing in chat is a really good example here. A lot of tutorials are pretty good. Some of them aren't fantastic, but that's the quality of tutorials these days. You got to look for them. You got to dig for it. You got to find your path to get to where it is you need to go. So if you have a degree of an undergraduate and you want to transition into the video game industry, um, I would recommend actually looking at a university for a master's degree of some type that deals more with what it is you want to do. Um, you can, say, be a social media expert that wants to transition into game development, and you'll probably find some type of degree, like the master's degree for game design at Full Sail, that will accept your credits and bring you up to speed. Um, some of them are not going to take what it is that you have done and allow you in, and that's fine. Those are obviously the wrong universities, in my opinion. People should be a little bit more open minded if possible. I don't think someone who, say, went to culinary school is going to be able to jump in to a master's degree for game design as easily as it could. But heck, a producer who can cook, if I was the company, I'd hire them. Um, as long as they can prove they can do production stuff as well. So you transition and you take your winding path and you go where it is you need to go. Um, Sometimes it's going to take you in a weird way. So as for finding connections, um, myself, the very first thing that I did in my master's degree was I established exactly who it was and what I was here to do. And then I went out and I found the people that were doing the same thing. And then I made sure that I was always having a lot of fun and that I was attracting people. There, for that second month course that I took, the game design course, we had to create a game design document from scratch for basically our final project of that course. So we had 4 weeks. We slowly, gradually learned what it was that our teacher wanted us to do, and we learned how to make the game design document. And my document came up with a game called Viking Snow Biking. And if you've never ridden on a snow bike before, um, let me see if I can't find a picture of that to show off. But effectively, what it is it's if you've ever been skiing, a snow bike is just a small bike is basically skiing, but you're sitting down. You've got two small skis on your feet, um, and you have. Let me see if this works. Cool. Um, and you're sitting on top of this thing. Um, this is a snow bike, and you just run downhill and within 15 minutes of my first lesson on a snow bike, the instructors looked at me and looked at the other couple of students and were like, okay, you guys think you got it? Great. Uh, let's go on a couple double black diamond courses. And they weren't joking. That's literally where we went. It was an absolute blast. I highly recommend it to people who want to go to a particular ski resort. As long as they allow snow bikes, you get to sit down the entire time, but get the whole experience of skiing. So lots of fun. But I created this game called Viking Snow Biking because I had some Vikings that had their honor tarnished by the Goat King who had stolen their Viking banner. And so they had to get not down the mountain, but up the mountain. Well, they had snow bikes, but they really couldn't figure out how to get up the mountain with just that because those go downhill. So they strapped rockets on them, and now they go uphill. Um, and that was a whole lot of fun because that single course and that small little game design document evolved into a personal project that I'm still working on called Viking Snow Biking, the deck building card game. It's a mountain climbing, goat fighting, rocket powered, goat fighting, deck building card game. And I just had a blast with that. It lasted through the rest of my master's degree. I got several different hats that went along with that. And just really enjoyed myself. And I made a lot of friends because of that game. I tested the game out with the local uh, local tabletop group. I tested the game out with several different programmer friends that I like that I got to know. I tried all sorts of different iterations. So I was still doing the thing that I loved, um, but it was me having a blast doing it, and I met a lot of people because of that. So, all right. So that really goes over everything else. Let's see. I've got another question here from S. Vito. What if you're living in a country where there are like only one or two industries and you don't have enough cash to get out, such as India? Um, hmm. I'm a spoiled, rotten white boy from America. I'm a single child with no siblings. Um, so I don't really have information on that. Um, I don't know if I can speak to that. I would just recommend what I can say is that I know a lot of people at Full Sail who came from all sorts of different countries and are now working still in America. Um, they I don't know their situations well enough to be able to talk about it, but I do know that I made a whole lot of friends who came from other countries. Um, I don't know if I can answer the question any better than that. I just I don't have the knowledge base to be able to do so. Sorry. Any other questions? Anybody? Otherwise, I'll just talk more about Team Valor. What is the best way to kill 10 minutes? Um, well, hypothetically speaking, what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to find an egg timer. Uh, you're going to want to find this egg timer and you're going to want to set it specifically to 10 minutes. And then you want to take a knife and quietly, in a room where no one else can actually see you do it, you kill that 10 minutes. If you can get away with it, good job. If you can't, well, that's not the best way to kill 10 minutes then. Any other questions? I will take almost anything. Waffles or pancakes and why? Um, so I play a whole lot of nerdy tabletop games, and 5 years ago I would have told you pancakes. Um, these days I will tell you waffles, if only because one of those games I had a character that I was playing that constantly sent mildly amusing text messages to another character just to annoy them, and all of those text messages included pictures of people wearing of eating waffles. So I just like waffles these days because of that memory. Am I single? Yes, yes, I am. We'll talk later. Um, as to the hardest part of working in the industry, um, hmm, I would say the hardest part of working in the video game industry is actually getting into the industry. um, being able to prove that you know what it is that you can do is very, very important. Um, Without being able to prove that you can do that, um, you have some trouble. And even if you can do what you're saying you can do, getting people to listen is really hard, especially in the case of, say, a producer, because programmer programmer can show off snippets of code and things that they've made. An artist can show off an art portfolio full of wonderful drawings and fantastic 3D models. Um, and if there are other people uh, out there, excuse me, and audio people can show off music, and um, social media people can show off all of the other projects that they've worked with. Um, and then you get into game designers, and game designers 10 years ago couldn't really show off anything. These days, though, they can show off quite a bit. Producers don't have a standardized portfolio. We have, here are the projects I've completed, and also the Jedi hand wave of, I am the producer you're looking for. I am the producer you're looking for. Um, so I've only got 3 minutes left. Let me quickly go through and make sure. If I could be doing anything right now, what would I be doing game wise? If it could be anything, I would be paid as a consultant who works 1 year out of the 1 week out of the year, and I'd still make $300,000 a year. Um, but more realistically, I just want to be a producer. That's where my skill set lies. I can communicate to people. I am the guy who is the man of many hats. Um, and I can get the job done even when pigs fly. So, whole lot of fun. Let's see, what other quick questions here can I answer? What do I think the current culture in the video game industry, social, political, and how do you feel it impacts creativity in video games? Um, I like to think that the current culture in video games is a whole bunch of nerdy people, a whole lot of geeks that just come together to try and make things that are fun and make games that they want to play um, because they want to have fun. So socially, um, video game developers are the people who create stuff that they want to see other people create, that they want to have fun with. And as far as political stuff, well, as a producer, my job is to keep as much politics uh, out of game development as possible. Um, I personally have an issue with, say, the larger political populace blaming video games for things. Um, and a lot of people are going to disagree with that. And I will tell them, well, if you think video games make people violent, and you're blaming that for shooting at for shootings, um, what about car crashes? Are you blaming the car creators for that? So, that's my time, folks. Um, I hope I rambled in some way that was informative and fun. Um, as I said, if you got questions for me, if you feel that you didn't get to see enough of my hats, um, I did my very best to um, earn this hat, uh, and that is one of the last ones that I've posted. But you can find all of my today's helms on my Twitter at VJ Brummer, and you'll find that. And you can also check out Burnout Studios at the Burnout Studios Facebook page. So please, by all means, hit me up, talk to me. I will always be happy to answer questions as much as I can. And I love puns quite a bit. So thank you all. It was a blast. Yes, hats off to you all.
Thank you so much, Jess. Awesome talk. We're actually going to be bringing Terry Nagy in next.